Welcome everyone to Wrestling with the Paranormal. Let's find out what our show is about today.
You have reached the Magician's Assistant. If this is the Enlightened one, today's episode is Black-Eyed Kids, Part 2.
Oh, I have some nephews and nieces that are black-eyed kids. Enjoy the show, everyone.
Wait, what the hell? What's going on here?
I have taken over Kevin Guy's body for the first part of every show now. It's part of our contract. Since I'm running the show in AFW, I'm also running the show here.
Enlightened one, it's obviously a pleasure to be embraced by your presence.
How was your week this week, sir?
Well, you see, it's been an interesting one because actually Wednesday I was able to get a good night's rest, but then unfortunately Thursday I got a phone call from JP's lawyer. Apparently I've been getting done for copyright infringement, so yeah, right now I've got to deal with some lawyers.
Copyright infringement for what?
Apparently I said two special words and apparently I wasn't allowed.
Oh, no, that's not good.
No, it's not.
Book it? Is that the one?
Hey, hang on. You might get the lawyers on you now.
Oh, okay. So what do we got on the show today?
Well, of course, we have our favourite Bull or Truth with Mr. Isaacs. We're going to take a good look around the effing galaxy. And of course, we've got something in the vault. Well, apparently we've got two things. I'm not too sure.
And you know what else we got?
What's that?
We have a special guest, Dr. Van Nostrand, who's going to do a paternity test and find out if you are indeed the father of Caleb Bain.
Do we have to?
We have to. We got to find out. He says you're his dad. We got to do the thing.
Dear. Right.
Of course, let's get into the vault.
It looks like it's time to open up the vault.
Do you know the combination? Well, Enlightened one, this is an interesting thing. Do you know what's in the vault this week?
I don't know. I just started taking over this gig. So we'll just take a look here. Let me see over here. You got that? Put it up.
What?
Put it up. I'm trying to test it over there. There it is.
What about this?
It's coming at you with this product that you and everyone else should be using. So, because of my hairy back, I have always been accused of being the ass grabber of the group. So wrong. But, thanks to backshaves.com, nobody's pointing the finger at me anymore.
Well, that's from our sponsor, Backshaves.com.
Backshaves.com.
All your needs for all the hairy backs out there. Have you got a hairy back?
I have used their services. But that fellow, he looks very familiar, does he not?
He does. He sounds very familiar as well. I mean, do you know him?
I think his name is Michael, not George Jones.
Michael, not George Jones. That's a full long mouth there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So if you guys check out backshaves.com for all your back shaving needs, they will come to your home, shave your back, and not tell a soul. I know that for me, since I've been using backshaves.com, I've gotten way more dates with a lot of beautiful girls. I'm just saying. Natalia Markova, call me.
Oh dear. Have you got anything else in the vault? Have you got any?
Let me just check over here. Got it. There we go. It should be up there. What the hell?
Whoa.
Okay, so it looks like there's a guy sleeping on a grave,
With like
and there's a
somebody
ghost
looking over him?
pissed off that he's getting his grave slept on.
Yeah. Do you feel like he's like getting pushed there?
He's like, "What the hell are you doing on my grave?"
Yeah, that is really, really creepy there. Especially, you can just see it looks like he's getting pushed.
He's like, the ghost is pissed off because he can't move him. He's like, "Shit, I don't know how to work my ghost powers yet."
Yeah, that's a really, really creepy picture there.
Are you
Have I got
ready?
anything-
Are you
got any-
nervous? Are you
Wait.
nervous
Nervous for what?
for the paternity test? You could be a daddy.
Is this doctor backstage yet?
Dr. Van Nostrand, come on in. Hello, Dr. Van Nostrand. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am very well. I hear that you are the best paternity doctor in all the world.
Yes.
Do you have anything to say, Liam, to the paternity doctor?
Let's just get this over with, will you?
Anything you have to say before we do this, Mr. Dr. Van Nostrand?
Sorry?
Dr. Van Nostrand, is there anything you want to say to everyone before we do this test?
Nothing. Nothing.
Oh. All right, so with further ado, let's tell them what it is.
Okay. The results are in. Liam, you are the father.
Holy shit! Oh my
Right.
goodness!
Right. Oh, hold on. Just hold on a
What?
second.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Just hold on. This doctor here, this guy looks very, very familiar, and he sounds very familiar as well.
Maybe you've seen him on TV.
Ain't it? Is this you?
I have no idea who you're speaking of.
It sounds awfully familiar there. I promise you, this sounds very like Haney.
I know. When I booked him on the show, Dr. Van Nostrand.
Anybody can change the name, but I'm swear down this is Haney.
I don't know who he is.
Are you Alex Haney?
No.
Okay, he's not. He said he's not. So obviously.
I mean, that's proof enough.
Dr. Van Nostrand, do you want to stay for the wrestling news?
Of course.
All right, let's do it. Around.
And we're good to kick off.
I'm not convinced with this doctor. I'm telling you now.
This is your co-pilot speaking Canada Dry. I'm back, baby.
Where you been?
I made a deal with the Enlightened One. He could do the first part of the show. Got to make some negotiations in this vessel.
Yeah, interesting. Right. So anyway, obviously for the Galaxy News, this is where we take a deep dive into the wrestling world. What's been going on this week? We've got 4 big stories. So I'll start off with the first one. Ibushi is obviously open to going to WWE. Canada Dry, I'll start with you on this one. What's your thoughts?
That's surprising to me because I'm not sure WWE treats Japanese wrestlers well. But he's saying that if he gets to be a head trainer, and shape what the next wrestlers look like, he's very open to this.
Interesting. Come on, Annie. I know it's you. What's your thoughts on this?
Dr. Van Nostrand, your thoughts?
Oh, my thought. Oh, sorry. Yes. I believe that it is very strange considering his relationship with some of the chaps at EAW. I thought it was
Proof
a
it's
given.
not Haney. Haney wouldn't say that.
Haney says a lot of things, especially behind a keyboard. So I'm still not convinced with this guy. I'm telling you now.
What is a keyboard?
He doesn't even know what a keyboard is.
This thing right here.
I'm
along
too
with the
busy
story.
I'm too
along
busy
the
saving
story-
lives and resolving paternity tests.
Yeah. So just back on the story here. Along with the story, WWE, according to Meltzer, is saying that they are very close on a big free agent that's not Jay White. So is this Ibushi?
No,
You don't think so? Who do you think it is?
it is Tamatonga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I agree with that one because I read that
Or
obviously
it could be Nick Aldis. That's another name floating around.
Could be. I mean, I think probably Aldis or Tanga, but I think I'm leaning more towards Tanga because I read today that actually he's open to going to WWE. He said that if they actually call, I will be interested in talking. So I think it is Tanga.
Okay.
Of course, if he does what was it, join WWE, his name could be Nicky James.
Nicky
be.
James? That would be a great gimmick if they did that WWE.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. That would be really interesting.
What
Right,
do we got next?
So a certain Briscoe is now all elite. Haney, what's your thoughts on this?
Dr. Van Nostrand, what are your thoughts?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I believe it's about time the Briscoe was had an opportunity to, obviously with the sad news of Jay. It's great that Mark's getting that opportunity. He really is a talented wrestler and fantastic on the mic as well.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get over big time because he's just so lovable, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
the guy's got absolute great charisma. I mean, I saw his interview with Lexi, and I could just do no but smile. Just the personality just shines through so much.
I'm excited for it. He's all elite. He's all Ring of Honor. So good on him.
Of course. Right, so we've got two more obviously stories left. Is Booker T comments on Bron Breaker. Now, I'll just get the quote up here because he did obviously have a lot to say. 2 seconds, bear with me. Slow internet. He was said, Booker T were going to say, the thing is, you've got to be able to mix it up on a weekly basis. If you're just eating chicken, I'm going to get tired of eating chicken. So what Booker's basically saying is he's kind of like just the same thing over and over again. And I kind of get that. Obviously, with wrestlers, do you know what I mean? You got to mix it up from week to week. Sometimes it does get boring. Would you agree, kind of dry?
A bit like you're doing a card trick.
I don't know. This might be Haney down here.
I swear this is. No doctor knows I do card tricks. That's private information. So
that's true. He just showed his hand. Come on, take your hood off. Show who you are. Come on, Alex. We know it's you. The gig's up. he's not budging.
Kind of dry. What's your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on Bron Breaker. I think it applies to a lot of wrestlers. Like, I think Wardlow was kind of getting that way. I think Castagnoli is really getting that way. I'm like, that feels like a chicken dinner every single night. Every time we see him lately. I want the old Ring of Honor Castagnoli.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just like uppercut, ooga, ooga.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, this could obviously implement so many wrestlers. So I feel like when you're digging at one, you could probably take that stab at quite a few. As I said there, Claudio's probably a good example there. Haney, what's your thoughts?
Dr. Van Nostrand, your thoughts?
Oh, sorry. Yes, it was it. Booker T is very, very, very strange. He keeps on. He has become a very opinionated as of late. When he wasn't very good at dealing with criticism in his own career at times, which is, you sort of practice what you preach.
Oh, for sure. Well, what does it say? Today has been a very down for me, and I'm pretty much Not much of a good talker. Well, we're here to lift you up. We hope that, Noob, that your day just gets a little bit better, baby.
Well, you've got a doctor here. Well, you got Haney who's pretending to be a doctor at the bottom there. So take your pick on that one.
You should see this guy. One of this guy's magic tricks. They're not that bad. They're so funny.
Oh yeah. While we're on that subject, Doctor, I want you to. Well, no, I'm not even going to say the word Doctor.
He's calling you Doctor now.
You didn't even deserve the word Doctor. I want you to pass the mission to your New York Mike. Screw you.
Who's New York Mike?
You know who he is.
That's
I know
what we
exactly.
Oh, look at Alex! It's Alex. We got him.
I knew straight away it was you.
Oh my
So
goodness!
let's
No,
get
you
one thing-
didn't.
No, exactly, you did. Let's just get one thing straight, all right? I mean, now you can't hide behind the keyboard or anything. Yeah? Come March
Or the
11th,
mask.
right? Or the mask. Yeah, come March 11th, right? You're going to find out exactly how much annoying I can actually be. Because you're not going to be able to hide behind a keyboard. You're going to be face to face with me. Yeah? Man to man. No more playing games. Oh, yeah, and tell New York Mike to kiss my ass.
Haney,
Well,
any
well-
comments on that?
Well, that was very rude. You bring somebody onto your show and you insult them. What's all that about?
Well, we thought you were Dr. Van Nostrand, and it turns out you're Alex Haney the whole time.
Well, I had you fooled for a minute there, didn't I?
You did. You had me fooled for sure. You had him fooled at the beginning. Well, we do have one more story left.
Yes,
Okay.
we do. Can we just get this over with so he can just disappear because he's doing my editing?
Well, you can do your magic trick on him.
Well, there you go. I will. But anyway, the last story before Haney can disappear is Chris Jericho has filed a trademark. What trademark is that, Canada Dry?
Jericho. So if he gets this, maybe we get the Jericho. Like, I love that tag team. I really enjoyed their antics together in WWE. So it would be cool to see them reunited. Maybe for even get the gold once and just have a little run. I'd like it.
Yeah. What about you? Kiss my ass.
Alex Haney.
Hello.
Oh,
I
yeah.
am talking to you.
Sorry. I didn't know who Kiss My Ass was. Sorry. It's clearly there was fourth person on this podcast, you know. But you know, Chris, he's the man of what was it, many trademarks. So Lord knows what he's got planned for what was it, with that. You know, we've not seen much of Paul White for a bit. You know, he's.
But that
And
would
there's
be a fun tag team, wouldn't it? Like they could get
It would be. I mean, what was it? I know. Obviously, a guy that size, he's probably got a lot of what was it, pain, you know, what was it, wrestling. So it just does little programs here and there. So that'll be good to see what they do.
Yeah,
that'll be a fun one. But the question I've got for you is: does it do it as a heel or a face? Do they do it as a sort of lovable tag team, or does?
No, I see them being. I see Paul White joining the Jericho Appreciation Society and them winning the tag titles together.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a shame because the guys I've got behind them would really fit that sort of comedy tag team role as well, you know, champions,
yeah.
you know.
So, Liam, do you want to say some magic words and make him disappear now?
Yeah, the famous 2 words I always say to you. Screw you, Haney.
Oh, it worked. Well, he really got you there.
They didn't.
He did.
I'm not
At the
convinced.
beginning, you were like, you were upset. Then you're like, wait a second here. He did get you at the beginning. You got to admit that.
I can't believe I've literally had to share 5 minutes with Haney. That's 5 minutes I'm not going to get back.
I think it was more than that.
Oh, it felt like 20
We're the
minutes.
19-minute mark of our show.
You know what? I can't wait till March 11th so I can actually finally shut him up once and for all.
And poor Caleb, he had to be like a pawn in Haney's game.
He did.
Now he knows that you're not his dad. He has to go find a new dad.
Yes, he does. Right, should we get into our next segment?
Our next segment was the tweet of the week.
That is correct. The tweet of the week. Now, I managed to search the whole of Twitter for about 1 hour, and I came across this, and I thought you might like this.
Okay.
I'll let you read it out.
You read it out.
It says, it's like basically 4 images, and it says, people always assume ghosts are human. Then the second image says, but crashing and banging at 3 a.m., knocking stuff over. Then the third picture says, sounds familiar, and lo and behold, the fourth picture, it's the cat.
It's a ghost cat.
Dear.
Yeah, it's funny because I've seen a ghost cat before.
Have you?
Yes, at work. I saw a cat that was at my work, and then he wasn't there. He was there, then he wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah, so interesting. But cats do that when they're alive too. So
no, exactly. You don't think you've ever told that story, so I'm a bit like, okay, really surprised with that one. You've got time to tell a story if you want.
Nope, that's it. But we got Bull of Truth.
Yes, we have Bull or Truth.
Moo.
Sorry. So yeah, Bull or Truth. This is the part of the show where we hear
Moo. if you laugh, I'm just gonna keep mooing. Anyways, let's bring in our good friend, the expert, Jeremy.
Of course. So what we're going to do now, we're going to play a video, and now we're going to listen to the story. We have to work out whether it's Bull or Truth.
Moo.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Bull or Truth. I'm Mr. Isaacs, the Phantom Patient. The ambulance company that I used to work for had a haunted ambulance, Rig 12, recounts reddituser.com, Zerbo. A lot of EMTs had stories about it, but I never put much stock in paranormal stuff. That is, until I had my own experience with Rig 12. My partner and I were working in a rural community at 3 a.m., and it was pitch dark and completely quiet. We were both dozing. I was in the driver's seat, and she was in the passenger seat. I woke up to a muffled voice, but I thought my partner was talking. I told her I was trying to sleep and close my eyes. I distinctly heard a male voice say, "Oh my God, am I dying?" followed by a few seconds of heavy breathing. My partner and I sat up straight and looked back into the patient compartment, where it sounded like the voice had come from. Things were quiet for a couple of seconds. Then we heard the click of an oxygen bottle regulator and a hiss, as if it were leaking. I turned on the lights and we ran out of the rig. I thought a transient might have climbed in while we were asleep. So we opened the rear doors. No one was there. I checked the oxygen bottles. Neither was opened. We didn't sleep much after that. Alright, gentlemen. Is this bull? Or is this truth?
What is going on for that background? Is that his washing on?
But he's always had that background. He apparently recorded this on his phone. He didn't have access to his microphone, so that's why he has that. Maybe he's in the basement with the wash machine. I don't know.
Yeah, that's now as that we're playing. We already had a comment who thinks it's actually Bull, Michael Smith.
Smith says moo.
You had to say moo just before I played the clip, so. But yeah, what do you reckon to this story? Is it Bull?
Okay, you. I'm going to give you the option. You can make me go first, or you can go first. It's up to you.
I will be a gentleman. I will let you go first.
I'm saying that this is absolutely truth.
True. Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the comment, Mr. Smith. There, I'm going to say Bull. And obviously, Noob also says Bull. So got three from.
So I want you to say moo then, if you're going to say bull.
Moo.
This is a moo for you and a truth for me.
That's correct. So we've got 3 people for moo and 1 for true. So let's find out.
I'm playing against you guys, so I hope I'm not too wrong. Going against the crowd.
Okay, let's find out whether it's bull or moo.
Are we ready for the answer? This story, my gentlemen, is true. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Wow. So it's actually true. So you actually bet all three of us.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and I'm not going to tell you what my secret was, why I knew that one.
Oh, wow.
What? Liam is utterly wrong. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. That was really good. But do you know one thing I've just realized as we were listening to that? How much we've actually missed his voice during the show.
Oh, man. I've missed the Bowl of Truth segments. I had to do one, but that was fun. But maybe if we haven't gone another week, you'll give us a Bowl of Truth.
Of course. And what about the people listening? If you've got a story, let us know. Whether we'll play it on the show. Do you know what I mean? Get more people involved, shall we?
Yeah, that's cool. I'm down for that.
Of course. Right. Have we got anything else before we get to our main event?
No, that's about it. Moo.
Right then, let's get into story time. Hey, the interns have been a new intro there.
Yes, it's got that ghost, ghouls and ghosts feel to it, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. Do you know if you're not ready for it though, that little starting bit actually makes you jump?
Oh yeah, you jump at anything. Like, do you like jump movies?
Oh, I love them. I absolutely love them. Do you know what I mean? I could literally sit and talk hours, do you know, for horror movies.
Yeah, I was actually watching that Seth MacFarlane Star Trek show, The Orville.
Okay.
And they were in the holodeck, and I wasn't expecting this ghoul jumped out of nowhere. I'm like, that's the first jump scare I've ever had on the Orville.
We were literally going to have cow jokes the whole entire episode.
What'd they say? Oh, that was Moo-Poo. That works. So yeah, this is about the black-eyed kids. This is the second time we've done this. So give them a bit of a backstory on the black-eyed kids.
Of course. So, black-eyed children or black-eyed kids are an American contemporary legend of paranormal creatures. Now, this is the interesting part, but it says creatures that resemble children between the age of 6 and 16 with pale skin and black eyes who are reportedly seen hitchhiking or begging or encountered on doorsteps or residential homes. Now, I just can't have the idea of just hopping in you doing like a kid there with black eyes, you're just staring you. Just seems creepy.
Now you have 3 images that you want to show, right?
I do. So here's a little sneak preview.
That one's scary.
That is really, really scary. Wow.
That's that teenager angry look with the black eyes is scary.
And
even without the black eyes, the teenager's scary.
Oh yeah. And then I think the next one for me personally is the scariest.
Yeah, it's that hood with the black eyes.
Yeah, I think
he's at the doorstep.
There you go. So I've just read about doorsteps. So now I do believe you've got some like 10 facts or something along this.
Okay, so black-eyed kids will look like normal children between the ages of 6 and 16, but the pale skin and black, as you mentioned. Additionally, people have been in close proximity to black-eyed kids, repeating they report a feeling of uneasiness that washes over them. While nothing about the children's appearance, aside from the eyes, generally is frightening, they still report the feeling of ranging from anxiety to terror in their presence. Some people have reported seeing black-eyed kids that have talons for feet or demonic attributes, but most sightings are similarly most normal children. Black-eyed kids are also commonly described as wearing dated clothing that is not from this era. Black-eyed kids always ask for something. It's always something that involves being in close quarters with you. They ask you for a ride or to enter your home to use your phone. There are no reported stories of what happens when you let a black-eyed kid into your vehicle or home. All stories come from people whose earfins made them flee from the children. The earliest sighting of a black-eyed kid was a journalist named Brian Bethel in 1996. And the story has been added to internet creepypasta lore. But to this day, Bethel insists the incident was real and happened the way he reported it. In 2014, a British paper reported the sighting of black-eyed kids around the world are rising.
Oh, okay.
Theories about black-eyed kids are that they are vampires, aliens, or a demonic origin.
Interesting. So, sorry, when you said obviously rising, do you feel like they're more known, if that's probably the correct term?
Yeah, I feel like it's like the more it's becoming common knowledge that the more they're showing up.
Interesting. And one thing to note as well, we have actually got 7 people watching the show. This is the most we've ever had.
Well, they wanted to find out if you're the dad.
Well, they've already missed it.
Absolutely. And the first absolutely of the show.
There you go. We should have got a counter for that. 1.
Yeah, so we got 1. So let's just get right into the stories. So this story is called Trick or Treat. This really freaked me out yesterday. I noticed my neighbor hadn't put out all his Halloween decorations, his lights. The past 2 years, I've lived next to him. He's gone all out for Halloween. I don't know him well. He's younger, single, but I know he likes kids, like not in a creepy way. His brother and sister-in-law and their kids are always visiting him, and he plays with his 3 young nieces and nephews out in the yard. So anyway, I got home from work and was walking up the driveway, and I saw him outside and said something like, "Hey, man, you better get your Halloween stuff up or that house up the street is going to beat you again." He kind of smiles sheepishly and says that he's actually going to keep his house dark this year and just put candy out. I asked if he was going out of town, but he said no, something happened last year that really scared the shit out of him. Now, I was concerned for my own safety. If some weirdos were coming around our neighborhood, which is normally pretty safe, so I asked him what happened. He said last year he had his brother's family over so they could trick or treat in the neighborhood. Since they live in an apartment complex that doesn't do much for Halloween, he had a bunch of kids come to the door like always. His family took off around 10:30. They were only a few older trick-or-treaters, but 11:30 they were pretty much done. So he's inside watching TV and the doorbell rings. He grabs the candy bowl and heads over and notices that it's a little past midnight. And that's pretty rude for trick-or-treaters to still be out. But then he knows he hasn't turned off all his decoration lights yet. So his house is still a beacon. He swings the door open and is about to yell boo or something to freak them out, but stops dead in his tracks when he sees the kids at the door. He said one was probably around 13 to 14, and the other around 16 to 17. And both were boys. They weren't dressed up, but he remembers the older one was wearing a flannel checkered shirt. He's immediately overcome with uneasiness, like opening the door was a huge mistake. They just stared at him, and he noticed they had really big irises and dilated pupils. He couldn't even see the whites of their eyes, so he figured they were contact lenses. He was frozen there holding the candy bowl. Like he couldn't slam the door in their face as much as he wanted to, so he nervously tried to smile at them, hoping they would break character and ask for candy or something. The younger one said he got lost and needs to come in and use the phone. That was when he closed the door some more halfway on them and said, "No, sorry." And the older one said something like, "Can we just wait in your house until our parents come get us?" But by then he was convinced that his life wasn't in danger and these kids must be high on something or intending to rob him. And he just kept on like, "No, sorry, good night," as he inched the door close and locked it. He told me he was so scared at that point they were going to try to break in through one of the windows or something. But he looked through the people and they had turned to leave. He watched TV with the volume really low so he could hear any sounds at all. And he said he stayed up till 5 a.m. because he was so scared to get into bed and drop his guard. The whole time he's telling me this, I'm thinking, oh my God, this sounds so familiar. Just like black-eyed kids in urban legends. Then I thought, hey, maybe this dude is trying to scare me because after all, he does have the Halloween spirit. So I'm looking at him incredulously, but trying to seem like I'm gullible. So I'm like, man, that is what he sounds like, the black-eyed kids. He just looked at me blankly. Is that some movie or something? And I said, no, but I told him to go look it up online. Like an hour later, I got a knock on my door. Immediately almost jumped on my skin thinking it's a black-eyed kid. It was my neighbor, and his eyes were freaking huge. He swears to me up and down that he had never heard of the black-eyed kids before, and it's so similar to what happened to him. So we talked a while longer, and I told him that quite a few people probably know about the urban legend, as it was just teenagers with black contact lenses trying to freak him out. But the fear he felt was so primal and came out in the second he opened the door for them.
Wow. Right. So let's not dissect it 'cause I hate that type of word, but do you think these are very smart in a way? Because they're like the timing for this is obviously. I think you said it was Halloween. Is that correct?
Yeah. So like, Halloween is a beacon or a door for these sort of creatures to come through, though.
Yeah, this is where I'm thinking now as you read that story that they're actually are they actually really smart? Do you know what I mean? They know what they're actually doing.
Yeah, the Black Eyed Kids do.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely, they do.
Number 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I can the thought of obviously opening your door and literally just 2 kids and just having that, feeling, like something's just not right.
Yeah, I think that's where it comes down to is that thing, that fear that is you have no reason to feel, but it's there, so you should listen. It doesn't make sense, but you just got to listen.
Yeah, the one thing that obviously we've discussed this a little bit is we don't know what happens if you actually let them in. Do you know what I mean? There's no, I think in the description at the start, there's no
Well, there
reports.
is, but we shared that on the first episode, actually. The one guy got really sick, and their cat died.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was it. That was in the first episode we did of this way back a couple of years ago.
If we can find it, what we'll do is we'll add it in to the description. People can go back and watch it.
Yeah.
And you can have a look, relive it there. So, wow, we're only on the first story, and already I've got shivers.
Yeah.
Right, shall I get into my first story?
Yes.
So this is called "Every Story I Read About Them is from someone who already knew about them." Just that title alone really creeps me out. So, last night was like any other night. I was switching between listening to music and watching YouTube videos with one headphone in so I can hear my infant daughter if she cries. That my wife can get a full night's sleep. She works at 4 a.m. at a hospital every day. When I decided to go lay down in the spare bed in the baby's room, just as I doze off, I heard a thumping coming from the front porch. Startled at the first, I opened my eyes wide open and scanned the room. Realized it was most likely my cat scratching himself on the front porch. I dozed back up. Then again, the thumping. Damn cat. So he's blaming the cat already.
Yep, poor cats.
Oh dear. I got out of bed and run him off to the porch, only to see he wasn't there anymore. Now that I was up again, I wasn't at least a bit tired. I figured I'll just get some tea and check Facebook while I'm up, maybe finish the web series I was watching on YouTube. So this is kind of like more modern because obviously Facebook.
Recent.
So because I think Facebook was around 2010, so it's more, recent. A few minutes into the video, I felt a sudden urge to look up at the kitchen window. There they were, the tops of 2 short-statured people's heads, cresting their stairs just above my window frame. That just literally like. Oh wow, that's really giving me shivers. Do you know what I mean? It really has. The people were just short enough to not see in the window, but I could see out. I heard no footsteps on my porch as my stomach turned, but the knock was a steady, hollow thump. The very same thump I had just blamed on the cat. Deciding it was best not to answer, I shut my laptop and crept by the door back to the baby's room. I assumed it wasn't some of the people from the low-income housing across the road from me. They were hiding from cops, or maybe looking for my cousin who stays with me often and has friends over there. The last thing I need was trying to explain to 2 stoners that I was trying to sleep even though it was 2 a.m. It wasn't until I got to my daughter's room that the creepiness set in. The thump had moved from the kitchen to the bedroom windows, both windows. A room apart, thumping is perfect time. These stoners were going to wake up my daughter if I didn't run them off. Pissed off, I went out to the kitchen, unlocked and opened the door, ready to run around to the side of the house and kick some little idiot's ass. This is brilliant, this story, by the way.
He's ready to kick someone, little old lady's ass.
Yeah, it happened then. Standing there looking up at me were 2 10 and 11-year-old boys. They felt The feeling of dread and small mold almost made me vomit. The smaller of the two then spoke. Maybe use your telegraph. Huh? I just stared at them blankly at these boys, horrified of what I realized. Their eyes were pitch black. He asked again to use my telegraph. So I presume that's like another term for phone, I believe.
Yeah.
There wasn't a sound to be heard. No crickets chirping, no dogs barking, no cars driving by, nothing. I tried to play it cool and ignore the fact that he didn't say telephone or phone or cell. Anything that would have made me sense any situation, and calmly replied, I don't have any service on the house, sorry. The expression on their face turned to rage. Wow. So literally they've been told no, and they're like, literally face is completely changed. Wow. I've lost where I am now. Swiftly, I shut the door and locked it as quickly as I could. Then I stumbled back to protect my daughter. I picked her up from her crib and held her close. In fact, that she didn't wake up freaked me out. Most, but I managed to gather my sense enough to make sure she was still breathing and warm. Everything seemed okay with her. The thumping on the windows was back. I dropped to the floor and close to the wall as I could and held my little girl in my arms and wept as like a child. I felt helpless and afraid. I lied there for what felt like hours and hours, crying and shaking until I heard it. My wife's alarm clock. The thumping stopped. The instant alarm went off, and I crept into the master bedroom with the baby. What's wrong with you? My wife asked. Bebe. My wife asked. I just had a bad dream. Is all I could mutter out. Okay, well, give me the baby so I can feed her before work. I handed my wife the baby, and she fed her like a normal day. I turned on every light in the house and made coffee for her. For some reason, just having her awake calmed my nerves enough to pretend like nothing had happened. I walked her out to the car, nervously with my baby in their arms. I asked her not to leave until I went back to the house. She was put off by the request, but did so to humour me. Once again, I felt safely as I locked the door again, and in the house I sat horrified until she got home. I insisted we got to the next town over and stay the weekend at my brother's house. And here I sit horrified while she sleeps in the guest room with my daughter, wondering why she stopped when the alarm went off. I think I know the answer. I was aware that the Becks, she wasn't. Every story I've read about them is from someone who already knew about them. Maybe just the knowledge about them existing is the only reason they visit. I'm afraid, and I am sorry.
Okay, wait a second. We both know about the Black Eye Show.
Yes, we do.
Oh my goodness!
So
now, if we got a knock at the door,
yeah. So I do apologize for that one. That was kind of a bit long. That one.
Yeah, it was. So we'll just get right into the next story. That was creepy, scary, but this story is called "No, You Won't Be Calling Anybody." This incident took place about 13 years ago. I just moved to a new city with my wife. We were small town newlyweds from the Midwest. We moved cross country to one of the biggest cities in the Southwest so I could attend graduate school. Being naive and new to the city living, I habitually answered the door without a second thought. Never again after this. The first thing that should have tipped me off to the peculiarity of the situation was the fact that someone was knocking at 6 a.m. The second thing that should have dawned on me is this kid had to reach over a rather tall patio gate to unlatch and open it. The knock at the door was startling. My wife and I were getting ready to go to work. Pretty normal routine. The moment I opened the door, I was overtaken with an inexplicable sense of fear. To this day, I can picture him. Teenager, average height, average build, knee-length black leather coat, short black hair, and sunglasses. The sunglasses at 6 a.m. struck me as odd, and even more odd was he was eating an apple. He was very polite and asked if he could come in and warm up. I said no. Closed the door and slid the security chain in place. A moment later, another knock. I opened the door, now chain door, and before I could speak, he again asked if he could come in and warm up. No, I replied. In an attempt to close the door before the door could shut, he put his hand out, stopping the door on its hinges. He looked directly into my eyes. Still wearing his sunglasses, and said, "Can I at least get some ketchup for my apple?" I go, "Screw that," I reply, albeit a little confused. "Get the hell out of here. My wife is calling the police." He takes a moment to let this information sink in, lowers his glasses, revealing eyes as black as soot, and says, "No, you won't be calling anybody, like the police." At that moment, I forced the door closed, locked it, and called out to my wife. She is scared shitless, hiding in the bedroom, all jacked up under her. I ripped the curtains back to look out the window next to the door. He's gone. Absolutely no trace of him. I go out on the patio and check the gate. It's still latched from the inside. That was screwed up, and I didn't understand it. I think to myself as I turn to enter the house, I notice a half-eaten apple lying on the ground. "Can I get some ketchup for my apple, please?"
And you got a nice little request there.
If I knew this, if I had some ketchup and an apple, I would have totally done this. That's a little bit of humor from these creatures. "Can I at least get some ketchup for my apple, please?"
Oh dear! I bet there's people out there who will actually try that as well. Do you think?
That would not be good.
No, it wouldn't. That'd be really bad. But yeah, that's the whole story of that. And then you end with a line, "Can I get some ketchup for my apple?" What?
Oh, maybe we should make a paranormal shirt with the black-eyed kids on it. "Can I get some ketchup for my apple, please?"
Oh, wow. Well, Michael Smith responds by saying, "What about that?"
Possibly. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
There you go. You've heard it here first. So next week, Canada Dry is going to have an apple and some ketchup.
Well, what about possibly the magician eating it? Why do I got to eat it?
You've been requested, not me.
Maybe. No, tell you about this. We'll put up a vote in AFW who has to eat the ketchup apple, and the one who gets the most votes has to eat the apple. How about that?
What if it's a tie?
Then we both eat the apple.
So one of us is going to lose regardless.
Yes.
I'm not looking forward to this. Right.
I think I'm going to lose. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, we're going to love Canada Dry. Eat that apple." Everyone loves you. They're like, "We're going to stick it to Canada Dry. He founded this league, and we're going to stick it to him."
What can you say? Everybody loves a magician, right?
Well, everyone loves the magician.
There you go. Right, so I'll move on to my next story, and I do apologize again. It's slightly a long one. It's called "I was having a visceral experience all over my body." Now this...
Yeah,
exactly. I'd be lying if I told you I didn't know about the black-eyed kids before this happened to me. Late summer last year, I definitely did. Now, in the moment, that the idea never crossed my mind, but afterward, hell yes. And the thought led to all the kinds of regret I realize is stupid, but I am getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about my neighborhood. I live in a part of a town, a bit of a ghetto, a bit of a barrio, a bit of a low economic class of cross section of races. It's LA. The apartment complex spans a short block. It's dusty brown, like a desert we live in. It's good. It's got 2 pools, lots of little Mexican children, and for most part, pretty friendly population. I'm a destitute writer trying to make it in Hollywood, so I spend my free time writing. When this happened, I was working mostly in the mornings and the afternoons. I would get home, hit the gym, and settle in for an evening in front of the computer. It's pretty common for the evenings in the summer to be a caretaker around an apartment complex. Kids playing in the pool, the ice cream man pushing his cart up and down the sidewalk, women talking outside their laundry room. Hey, I do all my own laundry, but I'm pretty much the only guy I see here doing it. Nice, low income but pleasant, like mixed race, 21st century version of 50s sitcom. That's probably the best way to describe it. And people will knock you on your door sometimes to borrow something. I cook so neighbours pop to find out the origins of the great aromas wafting from my kitchen window. Sometimes for little help working on my broken down car, but mostly it's kids selling candy bars or Christmas wrapping paper, or jittery tweakers selling magazine subscriptions. God, where the hell is this guy? It's literally got absolutely everything. Oh dear. Or old Mexicans selling bootleg DVDs. Lots of Jehovah's Witnesses. Because it's hot out here, I leave my windows open. The AC isn't cheap and I've got no money, remember? Hoping for the cross breeze. That means, though, I can't see anyone from where I sit and work. I can hear them clearly as they walk to my door. When I hear somebody knock, I answer it besides buying the occasional candy bar. I smile politely, decline, wish them a nice day, and send them off. No big deal. That evening it was quiet, which was strange in and of itself. I should at least have been able to hear the distant sound of ranchero music. I heard a couple of people walk up to my door. I'm not in the first apartment in my courtyard, so usually I hear the salesperson as they knock on the neighbour's door and walk their way around to me. Not this time. Whoever it was walked right up to my door and knocked. I got up to answer it, reaching for the door and handed when I entered it. A cold tightness in my chest. I halted my hand movement towards the door handle and placed it flat on the door, as it was a feeling of heat from fire. I had a peephole, but it never crossed my mind to use it. I stood there with my hand flat on the door and listened. They knocked again. I don't scare easily, and I wasn't exactly afraid, but I was having a visceral experience all over my body. A base fear reaction, just like I could hear them. They had heard me move the door, and they knew I was inside. Yes, I said. Who is it? A boy's voice answered. We need to use your phone. Yeah, that's going to happen. I started laughing. I stress laugh when I'm in pain or under pressure. They heard me laughing, and none of us moved for about a minute or two. A really, really long minute or two. Finally, they walked away, not to any 8 doorways with the 15 feet, not to ask anyone else before they could have got more of a dozen yards. Curiosity reserted, and I yanked the door open, running after them to see who it was and where they were headed. The courtyard of my complex was completely empty. Afterwards, I thought the experience would fit the stories of the black-eyed children, and I kicked myself for not opening the door, coming face to face with the black-eyed children. How cool would that have been? But then,
No, it wouldn't have been cool.
but then I remember that feeling, my skin crawling, and the certain knowledge in me at the moment. There was no way in hell I was opening that door at that time. So, basically, what we gist of that story is like, she's in a big complex, and these like children have decided just to knock on this specific door. This is what I got from that story.
Yeah, that visceral feeling on his body, just that body's telling you something's wrong.
I just love the fact that it's like, I wish I'd opened the door, but then after she thought about it, it's like, no, I am not opening that door.
We got a few stories to get through, so we're gonna keep going. This story is called "He Told Me to Never Agree to Help Them." It was a cold October evening, not too far off from Halloween. I remember sitting in my room playing a video game. The evening was slowly creeping up, so I decided to go to the corner store. It was only 3 blocks away. It shouldn't be much trouble, right? During my walk, I see the occasional person putting up Halloween decorations and kids playing in the yards. But this story is about something far more sinister. I remember seeing 2 teens about age 14 knocking on a door asking to use the phone, which of course I thought was weird because most teens these days have their own phones. As I kept walking, they stopped and stared at me for a short moment. I felt the blood in my veins go cold. I felt so creeped out, I hurried to the next block. The next block seemed fine until I looked behind me and the 2 kids were following me. I took off sprinting to the store at this point. I saw the sign for the store and relief washed over me. I opened the door. I told the cashier what happened on the way here. He looked at me kind of creeped out and told me a story about this happening to him in his hometown. and how they found him the day he left and asked for his help. In an emotionless voice, he told me, never agree to help them. He told me another story, but at that point I was no longer paying attention because they were standing at the door asking to be let in. The cashier freaked out and locked the door. The teens never seemed to waver or leave. They wouldn't step away from the door. It had been an hour. The cashier and I were ready to fight our way out, but instead he took me out the back. The one teen came around the back. The one teen came around the back just with the door shut behind us. Can you help me? Is all he could say. He was closing in on us. And his eyes, they were black as starless night. They were peering right into my soul. I couldn't help but gaze into his eyes. The terror, I couldn't remember too much of what happened next, but I do recall the sounds of struggle. When I came to, the cashier was struggling with both teens. He was calling out to me for help. I ran towards him and grabbed him by his collar and pulled him between the two, knocking them both over in the process. I didn't look back until I was near my house. The cashier was gone, but the teens were following behind. I ran into my house, closed all the blinds, and turned the music up. I got lucky that day, but I'm not sure how long I can keep out of their grasp. I tried to find and thank the cashier for saving my life that day, but he didn't show up for work after that. I asked his boss, and he told me he called over the phone and quit. He said he was moving. To this day, I sometimes feel the fear of those eyes watching me as I drive to work. I sometimes will look out my window and swear I see them watching my house from a couple blocks away, waiting for the next chance. And I call utter moo on this story.
You reckon this is bull?
I think it sounds a little bit fabricated compared to the others.
Really? Okay. Do you
It's
want
a
to
little over the top. It's a little over the top.
Yeah, it's. Do you want to obviously back up obviously why you've said that? Obviously.
Well, because I feel like it doesn't line up with the other ones. Like they go away, they don't chase after you, they don't wrestle you. It's just like it's a little over the top.
Yeah. So. I think there is some fabricated information on that one.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I'm a bit let down with that story. I think that's not done the justice, like the other ones.
And you got a little short story, I think, here for the next one, right?
Yeah, so this is obviously not as obviously long as the other ones have. That's the only problem we've had today. But this is called Survival Story, so it's a pretty short one. So I helped them once, never, ever, under any circumstances, do it. I'm not sure what they do, but it feels as though they're ripping your soul out. They get really close to you and you get amazingly drowsy. If it weren't for my girlfriend showing me mid-invasion and kicking them out, I probably would be dead. I didn't even see the black eyes until I had left them in They're Getting Smarter.
This is really short and sweet and to the point. He let them in and he was saying he was feeling drowsy and his girlfriend showed up in the middle of it and kicked them out. And that goes along with something else that they kind of have their heads down so you can't see their black eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my last story. It's called Black-Eyed Grandparents. And a bit of a scene. In 1996 and 97, I lived in a fairly old terraced house with a cemetery at the end of the road. Cliche, I know. But it's important detail, nothing remarkable about the house or the area. It was just convenient for me to go to school and college. Anyways, I was late one night on the PC in my bedroom, which looked out onto the street. It was about 2 or 3 a.m. For whatever reason, probably to give my eyes a rest, I wandered over to the window, looked down to the road in the direction of the cemetery. Although it was too far down the street for me to see, I saw 3 people walking slowly down the road. I could see that they were quite old and appeared to be dressed in funeral clothes, which given the hour, was weird. There were 2 women and a man. I put their ages at 80, and the woman in the middle was being steadily guided by the other woman. And the man, as they came closer, I got the impression that she was upset. My first thought was that, given their age, that she had recently buried her husband, and grief had caused her to behave slightly irrationally, causing her to try to be out near the cemetery at this hour, that the other 2 friends were trying to look after her and get her home. Anyway, it was all interesting enough for me to carry on watching as they got closer to the house. Just outside the front of the house was a street lamp. I watched them as they made their way past. Well, when they got to the lamppost, they all stopped, and the upset woman in the middle looked up at me and grinned. Oh, creepy is that? This was things got weird. The grin became part of sort of a grimace, and there wasn't any color in her face to start with it, and now it was dead white. At the point, I realized I was staring right into her eyes. Her eyes were pitch black. Time sort of stood still. If you ever crashed a car, like in a split second, things kind of go slowly and it drags out. It was that sort of thing. I'm sure we only made eye contact for a second, but it felt like several minutes as my peripheral vision faded, and I felt like all I could see were these two black holes in her face, drawing me in. All the distance between us didn't change. She somehow felt like she was coming closer, and I was kind of aware, although I couldn't honestly say I could see them at that point, that the two people with her just continually looked down the road as if frozen, but waiting for this woman to finish whatever she was doing. I suddenly hit with this intense feeling of dread and panic, so I threw myself on the floor. As soon as I'd broken her gaze, I felt pretty stupid that this upset old woman was clearly needed help. It spooked me so badly. So I looked out the window again, and there was no sign of them. It was a long, straight road, and the houses toward the middle, so Linford Christie would have trouble getting out of sight in the time. I looked away, let alone 3 octogenarians. So that's the story.
I don't know how I feel about this one. It's like grandparents.
I don't know. It's the gaze thing kind of got me.
Yeah.
Either they're a really good writer or this happened.
Yeah, this is one where I'm really torn between it. I will be honest. It's still a good story. I'm not going to, deny that. But I'm just like, it's one when I'm a bit, 50-50, if I'm being honest.
Well, yeah, I can see that.
So, wow, that's... I don't know about you, but this is the only episode we've done where I've actually had more shivers than everything. Wow, I mean, what can we say? I mean, I think one thing we've established, they are really smart. They know what they're doing.
Yes.
And we had a short thing. Obviously, do you know what happened when you let them in? Obviously, with the story I mentioned there, but well, I mean,
we got one more story to go, and then we can get into our moral of the story.
Is there a moral of the story?
There is a moral.
Right then, so we've got one more story left, and this is called "They're on My Balcony." Now that's just a creepy title in itself, but right then. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. If I'm in my early 20s, I just moved into an apartment, and I tend to live off a very private life. I don't even have a Facebook account. I work during the day at a grocery store. Okay, so I'm working up my flight of steps to get to my apartment. I hear these kids laughing, and then I heard whispering. It was kind of late, so I thought this was weird, but I ignored it and walked into my apartment. I live on the 3rd floor. I was getting ready to open my balcony door. It was really muggy in my apartment. I walk over to the door and pull my blinds, and 2 kids are fucking staring at me, back at me. Sorry for the F-bomb, but I'm still shaking. I screamed and backed away, smashing my leg into the table. They were both in blue jeans. The oldest, who was taller, had a green shirt with white stripes, and the younger had a button light up blue shirt. The oldest one touched the sliding door. "Hey, miss, can you let us in?" The young one just kept looking around, and I just stared at him. I finally was able to say, "How'd you get onto my balcony?" Walked to the door and noticed how excited the older one got as I moved close to the entrance. "Can you let us in?" I wasn't thinking. I unlocked the door, and when I looked up, the guy's eyes were black, the entire eye. I quickly locked the door and told them I had called the police because my door was jammed and I couldn't unlock the door. So I called the police. The oldest boy pleaded with me the entire time to let them in. The police arrived about an hour ago. They came in and walked to the balcony. When they opened the balcony door, nothing was there. They looked down and saw two children. They were running into the parking lot away from the building. The police took a report and said that they had help getting up there, and they would question the neighbors. I'm freaking out. I'm crying. I don't want to stay here. But then again, I don't feel safe going outside right now.
Wow.
I don't think this is obviously the children one. I feel like this is just more like, just two, teenagers, being a bit.
Well, she said they had the black eyes.
But the thing is, you can easily quite get, like contact lenses and stuff, for complete black eyes.
Well, the police also said they had to have help getting up there.
Yeah, could be friends. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to look at it, both ways from this one, because it's like,
I don't know. I think this one's legit.
I don't. The reason for that is he said it's Facebook account, so that's, like I said, it's more recent as well. I think this is a hoax type thing. I will be honest.
Well, you wonder if people have done some hoaxes on this black-eyed children thing.
Well, that's an interesting fact.
What does Michael say?
It says that Christopher Daniels is half black-eyed kid, half normal human.
Yes, that's true. Well, time's running out on us, so let's get into knowledge is power.
Right, so on the show, we like to educate, right? Do you know what I mean? We love to educate people. So, would you like to go first, or shall I go first?
Because and if you feel like you don't have one, that you can copy mine. I don't mind, because it's.
Oh no, I've got one, but I like, me, I like to keep them short and sweet.
All right, so here you go, kids. Come close, little closer. All right, there you are. Kids, now, don't you dare pretend you're a black-eyed kid and knock on my door. Oh man. But here it is. If you ever have someone knock on your door asking to use your phone, don't answer it. Just don't answer it. Don't look, especially because you're a kid and adults can be there. So even if it's kids, don't trust them. That's it. That's my knowledge is power.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much really good educational there. So mine's kind of similar there. I think we're kind of going to get off the same wavelength here.
That's fine.
Of course. So kids, right? As Mr. Canada Dry said there, do you know what I mean? If it's late at night, do you know what I mean? You could be asleep. You could be watching a movie. You could be watching Family Guy. Do you know what I mean? You could be playing a game, right? And you hear a knock on that door. Yeah? Whether it's a family member, right? Yeah, you do not answer that door at all, right? Not even if that person says he wants to use your phone. So get your own phone, right?
Get your own phone, damn it.
And that is my knowledge is power. I do apologize. I actually cut you off there.
That's all right. As you know, if you buy a shirt from us, when I see it, I pray for every single person who buys a shirt. I see it in my inbox who's buying it. Of course, we have Natalia Markova representing us. She's the face of FM Wrestling. That beautiful face, that beautiful shirt. There you go. And of course, you can go to Pro Wrestling Tees /F and Wrestling. And if you like old school wrestling, you can visit us at Pro Wrestling Tees /Adrian Adonis. And you got anything you want to say?
Well, what we got on the show Sunday?
We got a dinger. We have The Lies of Hulk Hogan.
Oh God, how long's the episode? 3 hours?
We got well, we got the F and expert on the show, and we're gonna pick 5 each. Our top favorite lies of Hulk Hogan.
Yes, of course. I'm excited to check that out. And of course, tomorrow, obviously, is the Magic of Wrestling. I'm not going to be there. Obviously, I'm going to be at a wrestling event, but of course, the expert's going to be taking over the show. Mr. Canada Dry Hair is going to be on the show, and I do believe he's got a special guest as well.
Yeah, it's going to be his cousin, and this guy looks just like Jeremy.
It's going to be weird. This is really going to be
weird. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're doing the Elimination Chamber pre-show. So we're going to talk. We're going to do some predictions. We're going to predict does Sami Zayn win that title? There he is. Hey, how's it going?
He's in the comments. So,
Right.
Go. Any final words from Canada Dry?
Nothing but this. Remember to put on your Green Lantern ring and just keep fighting.
Okay, don't mind me. I'm just looking at my list, right? So we've got cow tipping, we've got sea monkeys, we've got chocolate covered ants, we've got dehydrated water bottles.
What's this list about?
Apparently, these are New York Mike's things he Google searches.
Whoa, that New York Mike. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.